Antitrust, not to be confused with Uncle Trust from 2001, is my VHS watch of the week. This is a good VHS copy. It plays really well. It looks good. This may replace True Lies on the VIP shelf. This may go into a plastic shell and be put on display because I did enjoy this movie quite a bit. The movie stars Phillippe as a computer programmer who's trying to start a startup with his friends, and they look up to this character played by Tim Robbins, who's supposed to be kind of a Bill Gates or Steve Jobs type of character, who runs a major software corporation. Some of the guys in the group are not as much into Tim Robbins' character and don't look up to him very much, so there is some conflict there. But when our main character is offered a job by this tech CEO, he decides to take the opportunity and join his company. Essentially, as you can predict, our main character discovers that the mega corporation is doing some evil stuff, and the movie is kind of a thriller of him trying to discover what's going on. He's getting betrayed and double-crossed, and there's some pretty cool plot twists in this movie that maybe you'll see coming. There were a few that I did not see coming that were pretty nice. And I think if you're a fan of old internet movies, I've covered The Net before on this channel, then you'll be right at home with this movie. In fact, I think it's a little more realistic, and it did come a few years later than The Net, but I also think it's a better movie overall. The whole corporate tech CEO business is both ahead of its time and behind the times in certain ways, and it's kind of hard to explain. But I would think back in 2001, I'm trying to put myself in the mindset of what was going on in the world, and it wasn't a given that all tech CEOs were crooks or evil people, which I think would be the general consensus in the current year. So in that way, the movie can feel a little quaint, but I still think it was a fun watch. I really enjoyed the movie, and like I said, it's going to get upgraded to the VIP shelf of VHS tapes. The Feast from 2021 is an ecological folk horror movie directed by Lee Haven Jones and starring Elwy. This movie comes out of Wales and is actually spoken in the Welsh language, which is apparently a rare thing for films in the West. But I didn't know that going into this. Admittedly, I just registered it as a language I didn't understand and enjoyed the dialogue and read the subtitles. In the film, Elwy plays Caddy, who is a servant hired by this family who's out in the Welsh grasslands, let's say, and they have this remote house that is very beautiful but also stark and modern. And from the jump, you know, Caddy is a little off. There's something very mysterious about her. And that's kind of what made me want to watch this movie with my friend Corey. This was our buddy watch for the week. Reading the synopsis of this film, I knew it centered on a dangerous woman, so I was excited to check it out. I'm kind of surprised on a certain level that I'm finding myself drawn into these ecological horror movies. It's not something I thought I would enjoy, but I recently have watched Evil Does Not Exist, which I wouldn't necessarily call a horror movie, but this film has a very similar plot, although it comes at it from a completely different angle and with completely different results. As the film slowly unfolds and we find out what Kadi's actual motivations are and the dark secrets that this family is holding and protecting, we very slowly ramp up to a climactic finale and a somewhat ambiguous but incredibly satisfying final shot of the movie. If you can't tell, I liked this movie quite a bit, but I do have some reservations about recommending it generally because it is one of those super slow burn movies. And I may need to rewatch it to have some of my questions answered. But there are certain things in the script that don't lead to anything. There seem to be hints that are just one-off truth drops in this movie, but they don't connect to anything unless I missed something. Now, I, for one, don't mind unanswered questions in movies, but if you do, there may be some here, so proceed with caution. I will also admit that I was completely smitten by Elwy. I think she's incredibly beautiful and captivating in this role, very mysterious and expressive, despite having a quiet and subdued character throughout most of the movie. This movie reminded me of many other movies. I've already mentioned Evil Does Not Exist. It also has parallels to Parasite, The Invitation, and Hallow Road, a movie that I talked about several episodes back. If you want to see a beautiful, slow burn horror movie that may frustrate you with some unanswered questions, or it may delight you with some unanswered questions, definitely check out The Feast. Chainsaw Man the movie, Reze arc from 2025, is a movie that I really, really wish I had gone and seen in a movie theater. I was a huge fan of the first season of the show, and this movie is a direct sequel, takes place right after the show. And with that in mind, I will make this very brief because it's hard to recommend a movie that is a continuation of a show that I don't know if you've seen or not. But I couldn't help myself from including it in this video because this movie kicks so much ass. It is a 10 out of 10 S tier movie, and I absolutely loved it. Chainsaw Man is just an awesome property in general, and I have not read the manga, but like I said, I've seen the first season of the show. I loved it. It's an amazing blend of action and horror, and the movie definitely follows suit. Our main character Denji meets a young woman named Reze, and he finds that he is falling for her, but has internal conflicts because he is saving himself for Makima. And that's just the setup, because you know things have to get wild and crazy and literally bombastic. And I think that's where I'll leave it. So there you have it. Let's wrap up another video. If you're still here at the end, I really appreciate you. And if you like these short movie reviews that I do, I have a whole playlist of them on my channel. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.